roads are just perfect for this car. Absolutely perfect. Wow! Stop that! It's silly! Don't do that! Silly man! Stop it. Just calm down. Just calm down a bit. Yeah. I am a sensible driver and I don't do that kind of thing. Generally regarded as the best BMW M3, the E46. It's one of those crisp bangle designs that didn't get ruined by some of his strange thinking. But then again, he wasn't entirely responsible for the entire design in the first place, and maybe that's why it's just ever so slightly more conservative. Certainly getting some attention. 3.2 litre straight six. 321 brake horsepower, mated to the 6-speed Getrag 420G, which sounds to me like 1960s Jaguar gangster talk. They said it doesn't really pick up much until about 5,000 RPM. Well, I'm used to driving things that are a bit slower. It's now into the national speed limit on a rather... Wow. Oh, that is quite thrilling actually. I mean, I'm not going to overdo it, but that's fourth gear and it's pulling like really rather nicely indeed. More than enough. Fifth gear, what about sixth? Will it pull in sixth? Yeah, it's pulling in sixth gear. It's pulling up this steep hill quite happily in sixth gear. You don't need the other gears. This specific car was actually featured in a car magazine and on Top Gear USA. I can't remember the name of the chap who drove it on Top Gear USA, but it's out there. And it is beautifully balanced. The gear change is really slick. The steering exceedingly precise. That and the bucket seat and the sound, that kind of metallic sparkly sound that you get from the exhaust is really rather special. They fetch good money, these. Things to look out for, apparently. The old Vanos motors, they can go wrong. And the boot floor, which is an unusual thing. You see, the boot floor isn't actually strong enough to cope with the power. That's going really well without me really trying. Look at all that shit there. Honestly, it's effortless. Effortless performance. I like it an awful lot more than I was expecting. I wonder how much I'd like it if I was doing racing car stuff with it. Wow! Stop that! It's silly! Don't do that! Silly man! Stop it. Just calm down. Just calm down a bit. Yeah. I am a sensible driver and I don't do that kind of thing. I had a go in one of these before, and when I say I had a go, I mean I experienced being the passenger of a young man who had one new, and I didn't like it. I mean, it's not that I didn't like the car, I just didn't like the way he drove it. He was an absolute nutcase. He launched it down to 30 miles per hour limit and got to about 90, and I said, so I'll walk back the rest of the way. I'm not really keen on that kind of behaviour at all. Well, it's not even like I'm not keen on it, it's just, well, there's no excuse for that, is there? There's absolutely no doubt that they're really worth thinking with their head screwed on. when they designed this interior and they designed the chassis and they designed everything about it, because as a driver's car it does hit the spot very, very well. From the thickness of the steering wheel to the support of the seats, everything is just right. Nice turning circle as well. Wasn't expecting that to be that good. Then again, with it being rear wheel drive, it's a bit less complicated at the front end. So why shouldn't it have a decent turning circle, eh? I don't think this car likes particularly gentle driving. When you set off slowly and just do things rather deliberately, that's when it feels a bit clunky. So whilst it's brilliant on roads like this, and probably also brilliant on the motorway, it's not great when it comes to just pootling around. Then why would you have a car like this for pootling around? Why would you have a car like this? You'd have a car like this to drive quickly, to take it to the Nürburgring, I guess. The standard BMW M3 brakes are reportedly just a bit on the cack side. With a car like this, you need very good brakes, don't you? Well, you do if you're going to drive it in a manner where... Well, you do if you're going to drive it quite aggressively. If you're not, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can have a really fast car and have drums on it if you don't drive it according to its potential performance. That rarely happens. Although, another BMW M46 M3 story, a place I used to live, one of my neighbour's parents bought one. It was a kind of a yellowy gold colour. It looks great. But she was an old lady. She was an old lady, and I bet she never actually put her foot down in that car. Then again, that's me stereotyping. She might have been a lunatic. Cattle grid. Ugh. Or possibly she was the kind of lady that would enter the motorway in her BMW M3 at 40 miles per hour. And then drove everywhere else at 35. You know, you can't be too safe, can you? So I'm driving this car now down the M62 at actually under 70, because I've just got so much in the habit of trying to be economical. And this is a good point, because I'm quite content doing, 68, just fitting in with the traffic on the inside lane. I don't really have any great urge to do anything stupid. And the good thing is, so long as you're in 6th gear, you put your foot down and it doesn't pick up so rapidly that you're doing low braking speeds. I mean, although it's tempting to drive this car very quickly, it's also easy not to do, which I think is quite a good combination of being irresponsible and sensible, all in the same pot of yogurt. So, motorway cruiser, yes. B-road cruiser, yes. Backstreet cruiser, no. Except, of course, many men will have a car like this just to watch people turn around and have a look at it. I've spotted people looking at it. It does draw a bit of attention to itself with its flared arches and its 19-inch wheels and the massive brakes and the big bulge on the bonnet and the fat tyres on the back and the 4 exhaust pipes and then a tiny little boot spoiler so as not to overdo it. I like that touch. I do. The seats are nice. They're very, very supportive, and the suspension has a bit of give in it. It's not like some rock-hard race car. Although, has it got coilovers for when it goes to the Nürburgring? Because I bet this car is going to the Nürburgring next year. I've just got a feeling it might be doing. Not me driving it, although I've been invited, so perhaps I could. Weirdly enough then, of course, this is the kind of car that boy racers are going to spot, they're going to know what it is, and they're going to want to have a little game at the traffic lights. But that's where you don't want to be doing anything like that. Maybe this is perfect because it doesn't encourage you to drive stupidly in built-up areas. well, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. No, it just encourages you to put your foot down when the only thing that you can hurt is your own bonds when you fall off the road. You don't have to drive fast to appreciate what a car can do. You don't have to do what that Seat driver's just done there. Somebody said to me, would you like to go on a track day? I would have said, no, I'm not really bothered, to be honest. But driving this just made me think, yeah, I wouldn't mind to go, actually. Actually, the truth is, if somebody said to me, would you like a track day? I would have said, yeah. I'd do it in my old Rover diesel. Solidity, prestige, a sense of occasion, performance, and excitement. All of the things to be expected to be found from the BMW M3. You might not like BMW. Personally, I don't like what they did to the rather lovely British car manufacturer Rover, but it's very difficult to not like this car. It's probably BMW's best looking 3 Series, and with these flared arches there, it does look the business. It looks like it's going to be a fast car. And look at the size of those brakes. Look at the size of those. No. BMW Performance brakes. Not standard. The brakes that came with it originally apparently weren't really good enough to do a great deal of performance driving. But then again, not everybody wants to do performance driving, and it might have been just a nice, easy way of BMW to make this car just a bit more affordable, or just to get some more money out of you. Weird how there's a big gap down there. What's that gap for? I mean, it's got 3 seat belts in the back, but I would say this is fit really only for 2. There's just about enough headroom, but it's the width and the fact that the middle part of the bench is raised to make the outer parts more bucket-like. If you was a passenger, you wouldn't choose the middle, would you not? Definitely not, because of course you've got the transmission tunnel as well there, and because the middle part is raised, your head touches the roof. That's being picky though. I mean, I don't drive any car from the back seat. Other things I like the carpet, because that's proper. No, it's not really an ashtray, is it? What would you actually do with that? I mean, and then this, open that, and there's a small opening that actually looks like there's not really anything you could do with that opening. There's nothing. That storage space there is kind of almost pointless. It looks like it's there just to say that it's got storage space. From what I can gather, if you want one of these, it's going to cost between £11,000 and £30,000. That's an awful lot of money, isn't it? And if you want the CSL version, about £100,000 for what is now a 20-year-old BMW. When doing a car review, it's customary to talk about the things you don't like as well as the things that you do like. There's not a lot I don't like about this car, honestly. I don't like the fact that I don't like the gear change at low speeds. I don't like the fact that I'm used to reverse gear being somewhere else, but that's nitpicking. That's not really anything that constructive. Maybe the seats are just a little bit too buckety for me as well. But other things, you need to experience the car for yourself, as in your own car, to know what it's actually like. So I don't know what it's like on fuel. I don't know whether some of these switches fall apart after a while. I can only go off my own experience from other BMWs that I have owned. And I've owned a E39. I've owned an E36 and an E30. And I didn't find any of them to be that endearing. But they did drive well. And this one does drive well. Would I enjoy it as my own car or not? I don't know. And if I had that £30,000 to buy one of these, I don't honestly think I'd buy it. I'd buy something cheaper. Because the thing is, I've just experienced the best bit there, which was taking it for a rather exciting drive over the moors. That was great. I enjoyed that. But if you're not doing that every day, what's the point in having all that power? There isn't any, is there? It may as well just be a diesel. Incidentally, the diesel version of this is quite quick as well.